Bonsoir à tous, merci d'être là avec nous pour cette dégustation de la box du mois de janvier. Bonne année à tous et meilleurs vœux. On se retrouve ce mois-ci avec 4 rhums, encore un beau voyage avec la Martinique et le fleur de canne de Saint-James, la Thaïlande avec le rhum Phraya, Madère avec notre petit chouchou de chez Rhum au Résigno. Ce sera le 3 ans vieilli en fût de cognac. Et enfin, un spiced rum assez original qui nous vient du Guatemala, de la maison Botran. Voilà, sans plus attendre, nous allons recevoir notre premier invité, Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Nico. How are you?
I'm perfect. I'm fine.
Good.
Welcome to our tasting session of January's Rhum Box, in which features Phraya Rum from Thailand. Could you introduce us a little bit about Phraya and your distillery and everything?
Yes, certainly. So thanks once again for having me. It's an honor to come and talk to you about our brand. So, we're here to talk about Phraya, which is our award-winning gold rum from Thailand.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just wanted to explain to you what the name Phraya comes from. So Phraya is a Thai word which means of a higher rank, which is bestowed on a person by the king, which is the most highest honor you can get. Okay. So because Phraya rum is an aged gold rum of a super premium quality, we wanted a name that really befits the quality of the rum. So, naturally we thought of Phraya. So that's where the name came about. Okay. So Phraya itself has been around since 2011. And originally it was actually a rum which was exported out of Thailand to Europe and America. Okay. But then within the last 5-6 years, Phraya itself has started to become more well-known. We've really started to introduce this into the local Thai market and also in the ASEAN community and the rest of the world. So it's gaining lots of popularity, which is great. And this is really good for us. And it's great for people to try this award-winning gold rum from Thailand. So, that's where the name comes from. But the actual distillery where we produce Phraya is actually produced at one of the oldest distilleries in Thailand, which is called Sangsom Distillery. Okay. Which has been operating since 1977. So over 40 years of producing really great quality rums. But like I said, with Phraya itself, it's only been around since 2011. Okay. It's a relatively kind of new rum, but I kid you not, it's a really, really great rum.
Yeah. So, do people in Thailand tend to drink more and more, I would say, premium spirits? Is this a thing in Thailand?
Of course, it's definitely so. We've noticed with the last at least 5-6 years now, we've noticed a big boom in craft cocktail bars. So we've been quite blessed in Thailand. We've got some really great bars which have been awarded in the Asia's 50 best bars and and the world's best bars as well. So the cocktail scene in Thailand has exploded. We were gaining lots of traction, but sadly, because of the COVID situation, that's suddenly slowed the whole movement down in Thailand and also the rest of the world, really. So, which is a shame. But hey, it's still one of those things that we still have to get through. But we're blessed
soon, hopefully.
Hopefully soon. Yes. So we have got a great bar scene in Thailand, and we've got some of the best bartenders in the world.
Okay. And Sangsom was already quite well known in Thailand. I mean, it's everywhere. So I guess people who saw a premium rum from Sangsom were very interested in the first place.
Exactly. Sangsom is a very well-known local rum, which has been it's been around since the late 1970s, like I mentioned. Yeah. And of course, people would always recognize Sangsom when they go to like the full moon party. Yeah. Of course, when they were sold in buckets, etc. But with Phraya, this is slightly, completely different. It's this is a really premium aged gold rum, especially with the, hopefully you can see our Phraya Gold, sorry, can't see the bottle properly, but our Phraya Gold, this rum is aged for 7 to 12 years, which is which really gives us a great quality rum, which you don't really find in the actual Asian market, in the sense that, other producers, predominantly produce quite a lot of the silver rums, white rums, rather than aged gold rums like what we're doing. So this is something really special, and something us, our team from Thailand are very proud to present, because, this is something made with passion, dedication, and just love of the craft. And this is something we're proud to present. And we were lucky to win quite a lot of, big awards. A few years back, we recently won a gold award at the World Rums Award. So, it's been well received worldwide, so which is great for us.
Great. So what I see behind you, is it all American oak?
Exactly. This is the money shot for me. This is one of my favorite pictures that I have, and it's actually the picture of the actual warehouse where our casks are maturing. Okay. So I'll quickly just explain to you about the actual inspiration of Phraya first, if that's okay. Because Phraya itself, the inspiration of Phraya comes from the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. So classically the Asian elements, as we would say. So why is that important for us? Because firstly, or earth, what that represents for our rum is the actual earth where our sugarcane is grown. Okay. So as some of you may already know, that Thailand is actually one of the biggest producers of sugarcane and sugar in the world. I think we're in the top 5 biggest producers. Yeah. And we where we grow our sugarcane in the I would say in like the Kanchanaburi area, which is the central belt of Thailand. Okay. We've got some of the best rich fertile soil, which really grows some really great quality sugarcane. That in turn, of course, really makes great molasses, and of course that is the base of our rum. So of course that's where earth comes into play. Yeah. Water is also another important aspect of the rum itself. Where our distillery sits, which is in Nakhon Pathom, which is about 1 hour's drive west of Bangkok. Okay. Actually, behind the distillery is a local river called the Tajin River, which of course is a very important river throughout the Kanchanaburi area. Yeah. And this river that is flowing behind our distillery is, the water that we use comes from the actual river itself, which is deionized and then used to produce this wonderful rum. Yeah. And of course, fire is a very key aspect of the rum as well. As you can see behind me, all these different casks that we use, all ex-American casks, bourbon casks. Yeah. And the beauty of these casks is that, as some of your viewers may already know, every cask that we use, before we actually, mature the actual rum, we actually have to recharge the cask. So that means it just reinvigorates that cask again, breathing new life back into the cask. Okay. So that means you get some really rich quality characteristics, such as the caramel, the vanillas, the really spicy characteristics that you find, and the woody characteristics in the rum that you have today. And of course, exactly, that is the key point. This is the thing with this rum; it really sticks out with that, the characteristics of the coconuts. That's really it's very pronounced. Yeah. So lastly but not least, air. Why is air important? Because we are an aged gold rum. So the maturation process at our distillery, we mature our rum at our distillery by the river, of course, in the warehouse. So as you can imagine, by a river, you always notice there's always that real, the wind always blowing along the river. So that air is actually blown into the actual warehouse where all these rums are being matured. It helps keep the actual air of the actual warehouse cool. As you know, it's important because in Thailand, we are a very hot country and we do lose a lot of to the angel shares, of course. Yeah. So because of hot climate that we have, we're losing probably maybe about 8% to 10% per year to the angels, which is a lot. Yeah. Exactly, very tragic, but happy for those guys up there. but for us to be able to help control that, we need as much air to help circulate, make the actual area cooler. So that's the key thing about the air really helping out with the actual maturation of the actual rum itself. So that's the four inspiration: earth, water, fire, and air. That's the inspiration.
Okay, I understand. It's true that water is often underestimated in the process of making rum, but it helps dilute the molasses before being fermented, and then you reduce the rum with this water.
Exactly.
So in the end, it's with a 40% ABV rum, 60% of the product is water. So it's very, very, very important.
Well, another key use of the actual water that we use is, I'll probably explain to you, like I said, Thailand, very hot country, as everybody knows. And when we're actually producing the actual rum itself, our distillery, of course, our production methods, we of course use, our stills, we distill it twice in a column still. Before the distillation process, of course, is the fermentation process, which is very important. The yeast that we use is very special. It's actually one that is being specially made for this distillery by itself. And in the fermenters, as with yeast itself, sometimes if the yeast gets too hot, it can die out. So for that to not happen, what we do when we ferment our wash, the actual fermenters would have water trickling on the outside of the fermenters to keep that area cool. So it really cools down that temperature. So the yeast can start to be active and start eating away the sugar enzymes in the molasses and the wash, and then produces the CO2 and the actual alcohol that we desire. So that's another use of the water, which is important. And that's one of the key things about it as well.
So one big part of your job is keeping the warehouse cool, the fermentation room cool. It's all about trying to keep the worms from getting in the distillery.
Exactly. Well, another thing that we try to do as well is it's called a deep maturation deep maturation technique that we have. As you can see from the picture here, I'm actually pretty much standing on the top level, the same level as of the cask. So we're stacked, I think, about 4 or 5 high. So that means the actual warehouse where it's maturing, we dig down 4 meters at least. So it goes down and it acts like a cellar. So that helps us as well to keep the area nice and cool. So that's another process that we use at our distillery, which is really key to help with the maturation process to give us the maximum flavor profile that we need from these casks.
It's not a too rough, too fast maturation. It's smooth and okay. And so with all of this, do you measure the angel's share you have to face with every year? So can you go down to maybe 5 or 6%, or with the conditions that you put?
Well, hopefully, yes. Because we are trying to help with the temperature as much as we can, we do lose less than that. I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but I think it's considerably less than about 8% for sure. Like I said, it varies from time to time. Okay. But that's a key part of it. So I think you're already drinking the actual rum itself, but I think with your viewers, I think with Phraya itself, this is our award-winning rum, our gold rum, as I mentioned. This is mature for 7 to 12 years in American oak barrels, which is key. So with the actual rum itself, sadly you can't see my glass properly because of my background, but the color is really special, and the color of this is a really rich golden amber color, bottled at 40%. As you can see, it's very rich. And the good thing about the Phraya rum as well is it's all natural color and no sugar added. So that's the most important for us. This is the thing that the distillery team, the master blender wanted to do something special. So they wanted to make sure that it's all natural and it represents the house style of Phraya.
Yeah.
So, you know, on the nose, you're getting that really rich, sweet, soft vanilla and honey. Lots of that kind of toffee caramel coming in. But the most important is what you mentioned before, coconuts.
Coconut, yeah, it's impressive.
Yes.
And
just
something
imagine,
like
this is
caramel and buttery caramel, butterscotch. And
creme brulee. And that sweet kind of richness that you could find in this rum itself. Something really special.
And some tobacco, you know?
Slightly woody, yes. You know, that woodiness would come from the cask. So I always say about the cask being an important and an integral part of the actual process of making the rum, because, you know, I would say from about 70 to 80% of a rum's characteristics would actually come from the maturation in the cask. Now, these ex-American oak casks, they have natural wood sugars. You know, they have vanillin, which brings out that vanilla characteristics that we love in these rums. You know, it brings out the natural sweetness and the actual spiciness and slightly woodiness. You know, that's why you said you may find slightly tobacco. You know, that's, you know, different people have different notes. Yep.
You know, that woodiness tobacco with vanilla.
It's such what I find is such an inviting notes. You know, you really want to just dive right in when you taste it.
Yeah. It's
cheers. So for me, you know, what we find with the actual flavor of Phraya itself, the finish is really smooth, quite delicate, quite buttery as well, I find. Like sweetness and spiciness.
Slightly spiced.
But it's not overly spiced. It has a very balance for me.
Yeah, it's very balanced.
And this is the beauty of Phraya Gold. I find it's such I would say, a really easy, approachable style rum. And for me, I always find with Phraya, you know, it's a good sipping rum itself.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also good in cocktails as well. You know, but I think each to their own, because for me, I'm a purist. And for me, I like to drink this quite on the rocks or neat, depending on my mood. But I always say, you know, try it in a good, you know, quality, old school cocktail, like an old fashioned, maybe a rum old fashioned. Brilliant.
Because it looks a bit like well, I wouldn't say it looks a bit like bourbon, but it would be a bridge between bourbon and rum, and so naturally you would go for an old-fashioned cocktail. I think it would work quite nicely.
So. Yeah, definitely so. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And you know, if you do get a chance to try this at your bar, ask the bartender or your mixologist to do a really nice classic old-fashioned. That's how I like to drink it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try this too. Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for being with us.
My absolute pleasure as always. I love to talk about Phraya. It's one of my, one of my passions. You know, I love talking about Thai spirits, and you know, nothing beats Phraya Gold for me. I have so much passion for the actual rum itself, because it's not just me, but the actual the guys at the distillery, like I mentioned, you know, and the master blender. You know, I have so much respect for the craft and the passion and dedication that they have to produce in this rum, and it's now available for other people to taste. And this is something I love to share. And hopefully people will see this and they'll be intrigued and they want to find out a bit more about Phraya. Please go and try at your nearest bar, or pick up a bottle, and I kid you not, you will not be disappointed.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, thanks a lot, Paul, and I hope to see you soon. Maybe in France for a trade show.
I would love to visit France. Or vice versa. You know, would love to invite you to Thailand once. You know, if you have any travel restrictions, would love you to come down and visit the distilleries and see firsthand of the distillery. You know,
that might be possible. We'll see that together afterwards. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Bye.
Okay.